The FDA warned consumers on August 19, 2025, to avoid frozen shrimp sold at Walmart after potential contamination with cesium-137, a radioactive compound from nuclear fission, in products from an Indonesian supplier distributed across 13 states. That was Walmart's second major documented seafood safety event in 12 months. Here are all 12 stores. Every recall and FDA action in this video is sourced from official FDA enforcement records. Every sourcing and sustainability finding is sourced from Oceana's peer-reviewed nationwide seafood study, Greenpeace's seafood sustainability analysis, and independent investigative journalism. The Oceana study tested 1,215 seafood samples from 674 retail outlets across 21 states and found that 33% of samples were mislabeled nationwide, with 18% of grocery store samples specifically mislabeled. Only 7 of the 120 red snapper samples collected nationwide were actually red snapper. Tuna was mislabeled 59% of the time. 30% of shrimp samples were mislabeled or labeled wild caught when they were farmed. The question is not whether seafood fraud exists at grocery stores. The question is, which stores have the most documented evidence of it? Store 12, Smart & Final. Smart & Final is a Western U.S. bulk retailer with no dedicated seafood counter, no trained seafood staff, and no published sourcing standards. Oceana's nationwide study found that 18% of retail grocery seafood was mislabeled. A bulk discount retailer without professionals assessing provenance has no mechanism to catch or prevent that mislabeling. Store 11, Meijer. Meijer is a Midwest superstore chain. 8.09% of MASH survey respondents specifically named Meijer as having worst seafood quality. Consumer reviews document inconsistency, including freshness complaints and limited sourcing transparency for private label products. Meijer does not publish comprehensive seafood sourcing standards or third-party sustainability certifications. Store 10, Dollar General. Dollar General sells frozen seafood at select locations. Refrigeration maintained at lower standards than dedicated groceries. No trained seafood staff, supply chains built around cost minimization, no origin disclosure, and no sustainability certification. Frozen seafood in a dollar store environment has no professional oversight at the point of sale. Store 9, Price Chopper. In 2021, Price Chopper issued a seafood recall after products were found to potentially contain metal fragments, as documented by Food Republic. Metal contamination reflects a quality control failure at the processing or distribution stage. Price Chopper has not published a seafood sourcing transparency commitment that would allow consumers to verify origin and handling standards. Store 8, Lidl. Recipe Heaven's March 2026 analysis of grocery seafood departments documented consistent customer reports describing Lidl's seafood as rotten. Lidl does not publish seafood sourcing transparency and operates through a discount model, prioritizing price over supply chain verification. In 2024, Lidl was among several retailers facing scrutiny over eco-label and sustainability claims. Store 7, Stop & Shop. Stop & Shop paid a $75,000 fine in 2026 for mislabeling meat in a way that left spoiled product available for sale. The store-level management decisions that produced meat mislabeling apply equally to seafood, where product dating and species accuracy depend on the same personnel making the same decisions. Stop & Shop's documented willingness to mislabel protein products makes its seafood labeling accuracy a documented concern. Store 6, Costco. PBS SoCal cited a Greenpeace analysis finding that Costco sells 8 of 22 fish species on Greenpeace's red list of most unsustainable seafood. The analysis specifically noted Costco is very poor at giving customers in-store information about seafood provenance. For Kirkland wild salmon and specific products, Costco has documented sourcing relationships. For the broader seafood range, the information available at the shelf is limited. Store 5, Target. Target has no dedicated seafood counter and employs no trained seafood staff. Every seafood product comes under the Good and Gather private label from suppliers whose identities Target does not publish. PBS SoCal specifically docked Target for failing to provide customers with sourcing information. A mashed survey found 15.85% named Target for worst seafood quality. The structural absence of professional oversight that made Target worst for chicken and ground beef applies equally to seafood. Store 4, Kroger. Kroger has published seafood sourcing goals, but the practical record is inconsistent. Oceana found that 18% of retail seafood was mislabeled, and Kroger's scale means supply chain failures propagate across its entire network. A mashed survey found 7.42% named Kroger for poor seafood quality. Consumer reviews described inconsistency in freshness and labeling accuracy across Kroger's seafood departments. Store 3, Publix. Publix has one of the most extensively documented seafood recall records of any major grocery chain in recent years. In February 2024, Publix recalled canned tuna due to potential botulism contamination. Botulism toxin attacks the nervous system and can cause muscle paralysis, difficulty breathing, and death in severe cases. In the same month, February 2024, Publix was involved in a recall of live shell-on oysters that had already made 15 people sick after being served at New Orleans restaurants, with 2 requiring hospitalization. The contaminated oysters were confirmed to have also been sold directly at Publix retail locations, meaning customers who did not visit those restaurants were purchasing the same contaminated shellfish. In 2021, Publix was among several retailers recalled for shrimp imported from India after salmonella contamination. 3 separate seafood recalls involving 3 different pathogens: botulism, oyster contamination, and salmonella. Across 4 years at the same chain describes a systemic sourcing or quality control problem rather than isolated incidents. Store 2. Aldi. Aldi carries the most multi-year documented seafood problem record of any chain on this list outside of the 2025 Walmart event. In May 2025, stuffed salmon sold at Aldi was recalled because it failed to disclose a potentially life-threatening allergen, per FDA recall records. In 2024, Aldi faced multiple lawsuits over sustainability claims and eco-labels on its farmed salmon, alleging it was marketing farmed fish using language implying higher welfare and sustainability than the sourcing supported. Aldi agreed to change its farmed salmon marketing as part of the lawsuit resolution. Also in 2024, an investigative report linked both Aldi and Walmart to purchasing contaminated shrimp from an Indian supplier that also mistreated its employees. An older documented scandal linked Chinese seafood suppliers from which Aldi purchased products to North Korean workers, raising forced labor concerns in the supply chain. PBS SoCal's Greenpeace-sourced analysis specifically noted that Aldi does business with known pirate fishing companies. Store 1. Walmart. Walmart holds the top position because of a specific August 2025 FDA warning that has no parallel at any other grocery chain on this list. On August 19th, 2025, the FDA announced that consumers should avoid frozen shrimp sold at Walmart that had been processed by an Indonesian company and may have been contaminated with cesium-137. Cesium-137 is a radioactive compound produced by nuclear fission. The affected products were sold in Walmart stores across 13 states. Radioactive contamination in a seafood product at the largest grocery retailer in the United States is a documented event in FDA records from 2025, not a historical case. The August 2025 cesium-137 warning was Walmart's second major seafood safety event within 12 months. A 2024 investigative report specifically linked Walmart to purchasing contaminated shrimp from an Indian supplier. Walmart has also faced documented mislabeling allegations related to pushing imported shrimp as domestic shrimp. The MASH consumer survey found that 33.22% of respondents named Walmart as having the worst quality seafood of any major grocery chain, the highest percentage for any single retailer in the survey. Walmart sells 9 of the 22 fish species on Greenpeace's red list of most unsustainable seafood. Safe Store, Whole Foods Market. Whole Foods maintains Marine Stewardship Council certification for wild-caught seafood and aquaculture, Stewardship Council certification for farmed seafood at qualifying suppliers. Trained seafood specialists at most locations can provide provenance information for specific products. Whole Foods explicitly bans 22 problematic seafood species and publishes the most transparent, independently verified sourcing standards of any major grocery chain. Safe Store, H-E-B. H-E-B is a Texas-based chain consistently ranked among the best grocery stores for seafood quality and sourcing. Consumer surveys and food media analysis repeatedly place H-E-B near the top of seafood rankings. Seafood counters staffed by trained professionals at most locations publish sourcing commitments and direct fishery relationships rather than commodity brokers define H-E-B's seafood operation. Safe Store, Sprouts Farmers Market. Sprouts applies the same quality standards to seafood that it applies to produce and meat. Wild-caught seafood is sourced from fisheries meeting sustainability standards, and farmed seafood is sourced without antibiotics. Sprouts publishes its seafood sourcing standards and specifically focuses on avoiding species from the most problematic fishing regions. The natural food positioning that defines Sprouts extends to its seafood department with sourcing transparency that no store on the avoid list provides. Safe Store, your local fish market or fishmonger. A dedicated fish market or fishmonger operates with a single product category focus and a professional whose livelihood depends on the quality of what they sell. They can tell you the boat that caught the fish, the date it was caught, and the specific fishery it came from. Oceana found that 18% of grocery store seafood was mislabeled, and 33% of all retail and restaurant seafood was mislabeled nationwide. A fishmonger who handles the same product daily and answers directly to customers for every purchase they make has the incentive structure, expertise, and accountability that none of the 12 stores on the avoid list can match at the point of sale. Drop a comment and tell us where you have been buying your seafood. And subscribe, because we are running this same verified standard across every major food and grocery category.